And we are live, WrestlePurists Worldwide, episode 78, hosted by myself, Joe Hulbert, backup hangman, either of WrestlePurists, whatever you prefer. And we're going to do our usual thing, catching up from the weekend, looking at the week ahead. There's been some contract news, there's been some injury news, there's been a few shows. So, we've got a few things to get into, as always, on these Mondays. But first things first, please like, subscribe, send any super chats, any questions, any takes, any predictions, anything like that. We'll get them read out. And I hope everyone's doing good. Fellow co-host Joe Hulbert, what's going on?
Very busy day. Yep, always very busy day. Not always, actually, completely. Very busy day in the JHP War Room, preparing for the draft tonight. Because the draft is on. I don't even remember. I'm sure everyone's excited after how electric it was on Friday. The draft is on again tonight.
So many changes.
Yeah, there's so much to get into. So I'm preparing for that. The big board is looking interesting. Braun being back in the game, past his medical. That's exciting. We can do something with that. Tokyo Dome, here we come. So excited to be here to talk about wrestling, I think.
Yeah, man. It's what we normally do, I think. Either backup hangman, the famous backup hangman. Big weekend for the Knicks.
Yeah, it was. It was a huge weekend for the Knicks. They continue to be what's right about basketball and what's like the closest thing genuinely.
I was on your side.
In a vanity-filled sport that's increasingly hollow, full of overplayed athletes who don't actually love what they're doing, and guys who don't give effort on both ends, guys who don't give it all they got in the regular season, guys who duck the smoke from other great teams, guys who, again, to them, it's like they could lose the game and go to the strip club later in the night. You have a team full of scrappy, underpaid guys who are hungry, who are young, who all they care about is crashing the boards and rebounding and fighting out there. It's fucking awe-inspiring to watch what these Knicks are doing because at every turn, Joel Embiid is trying to injure our key players. We have like no centers left, and yet you have a bunch of fucking shooting guards out rebounding their big men, which is incredible. They've gone 3-1. They're up 3-1 now in this series. Pundits thought that the Knicks were going to lose to Philadelphia. We did not run from the smoke. We decided to face them in this first round. We didn't, tank to get lower seeding, and it's rewarded us now. The basketball gods have rewarded the Knicks. And all I can say is go New York, go New York, go. We have taken over Philly. We have taken over this entire East Coast because that's what we're about. And Eastern Conference Finals, here we come.
Sorry to hear it, Joe.
I just hope they just finish us off now. I can't do any more of this.
you don't want Philly to win a game?
I said yes. I've seen enough. I've suffered enough. I can't see Joel fall down anymore. Enough.
At least you guys have the dignity of losing in 5 because like Phoenix getting swept was crazy.
Phoenix are just crazy in general. We'll proceed with wrestling. That whole
wrestling podcast. Apologies, but 90 seconds. Let Ibu have his victory lap, let's do some super chats. Starting off with Darren Walker, £2. Appreciate it as always. Do you believe in Joe Hendry and have a number one song?
No.
I mean, he's been number one in some of the daily charts. He's got this wave going, brother. He's what it is,
People
I think he's. Hey, man. If I need memes to sell records or podcasts, I mean, I can't knock the hustle.
No, I don't knock the hustle at all. You know what I mean? He's with this. He's gonna get paid for another like 6 years.
Never gonna go without bookings,
Yeah.
TNA World Champion soon come. It's the direction.
He'll be at your local Indie Mania weekend 3 years from now doing the Joe Henry song. Like this. Yeah.
Yeah, at least he's found something that makes him stand out in a wrestling industry where so many people are the same. Joe Hulbert,
Yeah, if you want, yeah. I don't really know how it caught fire or what everyone.
Neither do
I gotta be honest.
He seems like a really good guy, so good for him.
I resent Joe Henry because he ended Yuya Uemura's career. He feels like Joe. You remember how Markelle Fultz was like a great college player and then his shot was broken and he never was the same again.
Yes.
Like Yuya Uemura went to Impact and tagged with this guy, and like all his mechanics were just completely shattered.
Yeah. Anyway, it seems like a nice guy. So.
Darren Cagey, $5. Appreciate you as always. We need to have a conversation about how wash cage matches. I mean, cage, it depends, bro. It's like if you want to put so much, value into the actual ratings, I'll just use it more as a resource.
Yeah.
I love cage match.
Well,
I don't care what the matches are rated on there, to be honest.
Yeah, it could be great for looking through the history and stuff. But to be fair, Darren put together, he crunched the numbers on who had the best roster in the LNG draft based on cage match. I think I was third. So to Darren's point, cage match is washed. Absolutely. Good call.
Cage match made an enemy out of me because there's only one Dan Severn match rated above a 6.9. So we have problems. Cage match.
Line on the hill with Dan Severn.
Boom, 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 boom. Oh my God! Real quick anecdote. I stumbled into because Rob was streaming it. Rob was playing like a June 1998 episode of WWF Raw, and there was a match. It was Dan Severn and Ken Shamrock.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, Dan Severn and Ken Shamrock versus like Mark Henry and Owen Hart, and like Dan gets in there and he's not wrestling. Like he's just like doing his thing, whatever that is. Like he just does a shoot takedown on Owen, picks him back up, Germans him on his head, tags out. I was like, yeah, man.
Just looked at his MMA record is crazy. Like he's actually like a cage match wrestler's log. Like he would fight like once every few weeks. It was insane. Like he would be in the WWF and be like, I'm gonna have a fight this weekend, fellas.
Yes.
See you next Monday.
It's a shame Vince Russo's a twat because Jim Ross wanted Severn and Dr. Death to face Steve Austin, and fuck me, I would have liked to see that.
Probably would have been only you, but it would have ruled for history. So
it would have ruled for history. So it would have been that thing that Vintage Puro Wrestler would have posted the highlights of. Dave went 3.5 because it was futuristic for the time for American wrestling. Would have said it's Japanese style, but the American fans don't understand it. Would have been awesome.
Push $4.99. Where do we rank Embiid in terms of selling? Just a putrid player to watch. Jalen Brunson is leading Wrestler of the Year, overtaking Big Dwayne for now.
Brunson is awesome, man. I gotta say, I think everyone enjoys watching Brunson. Yeah, he's up there. It's a shame. He's been working like a full-on heel in this series in particular. He's doing like underhanded tactics. I mean, he always does that stuff, but in this series, it has been outrageous,
bro. Josh Hart fell, and then he fake stumbles over him, and then you've already secured your landing, and you still feel the need to step on his knee. Like, what are you doing? Like, yeah. and he does it. And he's like, "Oh shit, my bad, bro. Go fuck yourself."
Yeah,
what a Knicks talk,
You're a beautiful team, man. You took over Philly. Another one.
Come on, Ibu.
OG Anunoby from Scott, $2.79. Anunoby is a small forward. He's 6'7", 6'8". And when Isaiah Hartenstein left the game in the third quarter after having 5 fouls, they put Anunoby on Embiid. And what a smart defender, man. He's undersized, but he's a strong African man. So he was able to corral Embiid. Embiid, I think he went 0 for 5 in the fourth quarter when guarded by Anunoby. Riveting fucking defense from a guy who isn't even the same position as him. Embiid wants to be a fucking perimeter player, then get fucked. You're going to get smoked by a perimeter defender.
All right, stop starting him off. Darren Walker, £5, appreciate it. Monty and Ibu not on Dynamite review, so what are their views on the Jericho segment, new music and Billy in the Vortex?
The learning tree. No, it was like, I am the learning tree. Boom, down.
The music's brutal.
I was howling. I was like, is this a parody of the Def Rebel songs? Because like the joke with the Def Rebel songs is that they introduce themselves and then the music plays. It'll be like, like I'm Timothy Stratton.
Craziest one is the new Bailey one. The role model drop there at the start.
Oh my god!
How is that a babyface?
Ruckus has got a few criminal ones.
Listen, I'll tell you what. No, listen. Ruckus
convinced me, brother.
Let's be fair.
Def Rebel makes Mikey Ruckus.
Oh yeah,
like Jim Johnston.
Yeah.
Bro, like they make Mikey look like Jim. But The theme is hysterically bad. Somebody told me it was a Fozzy song, and I said, Jesus Christ. Regarding the segment was whatever.
No way.
Apparently,
It's apparently a Fozzy song, which is fun. I'm gonna
That's
look
just
that
not
up.
a real band, bro. I swear, like they tour and they've been around for like decades at this point.
I feel like he's become a worse singer because, like, I saw a
You
video of
don't say.
Jericho. Did you see the video of Jericho like going like, "I am a problem child"?
Please stop.
I was like, "What is wrong?" He sings from like his appendix. You know, like he gets it from the appendix and brings the. It's weird. Like, why do you sing like that? But yeah, awful singer, awful band, pretty bad wrestler in 2024. Listen, right now he's just at a point where it's like he doesn't have the magic or the flow. Of course, Big Bill is going to be his cohort here because like that's just of course. I'm sure their conversations and catering go crazy, but that notwithstanding, I don't have much to say about the segment, to be honest with you. I am not looking forward to the formation of this learning tree group. Actually, I'm looking forward to seeing who gets swallowed in the vortex because it's either a good wrestler or and a good tag team, or it's guys who just aren't being used right now. So I'm curious to see who those people are. Once the team is fully formed, I have no interest in them, to be honest. But we'll see what happens with Jericho. I actually have not that much to say about the segment. It wasn't as bad as the Hook segments because Hook's speaking in those segments is really, really brutal.
Yeah. I mean, the last time I was on a Dynamite review, I think I gave a broader take about the Jericho thing, and in terms of that segment last week, like the Big Bill one, like in a vacuum, like it wasn't like tragic or anything like that. It's just kind of like, why is Jericho getting all again? The same rant I went on last week or the week before, whenever it was. Just why are we being subjected to this shit, man? Like it's just, I think the whole ordeal of Chris Jericho in 2024 and the kind of focus and time he's being allowed to get his shit off is just like outrageous. Like, what are we doing? But anyway.
I will say, Monty, I disagreed with your tweet. I don't know if you noticed this, Joe. Montel is now opinionated on Twitter.
Really? That's a mistake.
Yeah, he's like being opinionated.
Opinionated is a bit of a stretch, but I'll tweet. I try to tweet now, like because obviously I run the WrestlePurists account. It's like you just tweet on there. You
have to do it. It's good for the brand. Yeah, it's good for the brand.
So I'll tell you this. Listen, he tweeted that like Jericho's the worst thing on TV, and like he's like objectively awful, right? But it's crossed the point now for me to where like it's like mildly, and I mean ever so mildly, kind of funny, and it's becoming fun to shit on now, to be completely honest with you. And I'm not at that.
You're not on the Dynamite review every week.
Yeah, that's
so it's like,
what would you say is the worst thing in wrestling then if it isn't Jericho? I'm intrigued. Limit it to the big two in America because. Beyond that,
so you start bringing up Top Dog.
So Monty disagreed with this, but I would rather watch Chris Jericho's bad segments than watch the Awesome Truth do things of any kind. I hate meme wrestling. I really, really hate meme wrestling.
Jericho's basically doing meme wrestling at this point.
Yeah,
no, he himself doesn't understand he's a meme. Whereas Awesome Truth are like, haha. Irony, like
I don't know. I think Jericho's kind of. He's caught on where he's like aware enough that he's like taking the piss, you know, but he's not aware enough to realize that the best thing you should actually do is like fuck off for a bit.
The mileage of R-Truth's kind of like oblivious shtick is like 40 seconds.
People like him.
So that's what makes it more infuriating, Monty. Is I'm watching these segments where he's like, Triple H, you a magician? And the crowd is like, oh,
no, obviously it's a super subjective thing, especially when we're talking about the worst thing. But like my argument for that would just generally be at least Awesome Truth are over. People are into him. And my big thing for why Jericho thing is like the worst is because it's so out of place. Like it's its own own section of like crap on AEW Dynamite nearly every week.
I figured out what my explanation of this is because I don't want anyone to think that because I see some people starting in the comments. Awesome Truth are wildly over and wildly successful. The reason why it is unfortunate TV for me is it signifies that more and more of wrestling is not for me because I'm watching this thing that I strongly hate get over huge with a live audience, and I'm just like, fuck. we're losing recipes. It's over. This art is dying. Because in 2006, if they did that shtick in New York City, the crowd would chant "Shut the fuck up." Philadelphia would change the channel. Like that's what would happen. That's what would happen. That was when hardcore fans were in tune, so on and so forth. Now they go into these cities and these people chant "Awesome Truth" and "What's up" and they tiny balls, and I sit there and I want to kill myself. So that's why I hate this content.
Not everyone's super into the big, New Catch Republic DIY build that you got.
It pisses me off, Joe.
Yeah, they don't give a shit, bro. They don't care.
Tyler Bate is, he's doing these backflip Germans and kick.
Another big factor as well with the whole why it's not as bad is like Jericho gets like a live. I know they're Awesome Truth for the current tag team champions, but you can tell like Triple H has somewhat reluctantly done it, because they were so over. So they're not getting the time Jericho's getting to get his shit off, bro. Like it's just not, it's just not the same thing. They're both not great. I'm not a fan of either, but the Jericho thing, because it's just so out of place and it's just awful.
We'll revisit this. We'll revisit this in a month. I will say we'll revisit this in a month.
Yeah, when Awesome Truth aren't the champs anymore.
On the champ is the Jericho stable.
when Awesome Truth drop the belts, it's like the conversation is just completely done then, because they're just going to hardly be on TV probably.
I feel like there's another really bad thing on WWE TV, but I'm forgetting it off the top.
People were saying Karrion Kross and Authors of Pain, like the Final Testament stuff. No way.
They suck.
They get like fucking 30 seconds of TV a week.
a contender, not a contender, that's too strong. But one thing I do find crazy is the fact that Friday's show featured like a big time Carlito heel turn was fucking insane.
Yeah,
like,
my.
It's not the worst thing in wrestling.
That's tough.
But
It's insane.
I don't get that at all. Like the only thing he has is that people kind of like him, and now he's going to be a heel. Like what do you want him to do? He can't. I mean, it's lovingly. Like he has no discernible skill set beyond he looks good and people like him, and now he's a heel, and it's like I don't know.
He doesn't even do the Apple thing anymore because they think it's insanitary. Like I asked about that. So why don't you do the Apple thing? And he's like, people don't want to take that. And I was like, oh, okay. Look, Carlito's bad, and it's also bad because like, where is this going? Like,
exactly. Like, what's the play? Like, I guess Dragon Lee just beats him, and then he goes to be a coach or an agent. I guess
that's the most suitable outcome at this point. Is Dragon Lee beats him in a fucking 6-minute match, and then Carlito coaches in the PC,
Yeah.
But if this is to jumpstart him as some villain, it's like, what are you doing?
Exactly, yeah.
Caden, one of our good friends, part of the WrestlePurists fam, 199. He says, Joe, I haven't forgot that nasty stray last week.
I have.
I knew that was going to be the outcome.
No clue.
Isaac, 199, appreciate you. We need Worldwide talking ball for a whole episode. I
don't need to be doing that right now, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. I was so close, Monty, last night to once I was done with my dinner, I was feeling good. It was like 9:30.
You know what? Talk to me at the end of tonight. We'll see
are the Heat playing or some shit? Yeah. I was gonna say I was so close, guys. I was dangerously close to doing an NBA space last night. I was feeling it. I was gonna do it. I actually once upon a time I wanted to be a sports broadcaster.
Well, this is a wrestling podcast.
Yeah, I guess
you,
so.
You made it, Songanda 35 Czar. I'm going to research what that is anyway, but not right now. I'm hoping these Raw absentees cause them to accelerate Braun Breaker's push. The rest of the roster has an opportunity to step up. Happy for Kiana James. Yeah,
that's an interesting one because like, dude, they're missing Cody Rhodes, Rhea Ripley, Seth Rollins. These are picking up now. Drew McIntyre has an elbow issue, which even if he makes TV, he's not going to be able to wrestle too much on TV. Even if he does make the shows, that's a big gap. And again, those are big guy like acts that can like be top of our like performers, whether it be in a segment, an angle, or a match. And it's a 3-hour fucking show. What are you filling that with? The Bloodline aren't on that show. What are they going to do? And so it's like, you may have to triple down on just wrestling. Now, I don't know if they do that, but like I'd move all the European stiff guys to Raw and just be like, fuck it. Like we're going back to long matches, at least for like a month and a half, 2 months. But from a productivity standpoint, you do have to ramp up the stuff with Braun. The question is, inevitably he's gonna have to have a title match, and where would that be and to who? I also would try to help the women's division of Raw because it's really bad. And maybe if you move like an Io Sky and a Tiffany Stratton to throw at Becky Lynch, that could help that a lot too.
It's amazing. Even when I talked about this over the weekend, like we were talking about different wrestlers and how we think they'd fare in WWE, and we were not particularly bullish. And about one day later, the draft, we looked at the draft rosters post-draft, and we were like, well, there's some vacancies here. You know, it's like we're always a couple injuries away from looking at the roster with a fresh set of eyes and going, good God, there's some room here for a guy like a Bron Breakker to explode, you know, overnight. So it's always interesting. Things can change quick.
3 hours of TV is like something.
It's a lot.
A company should like wrestling companies just shouldn't do them, and like anyone advocating for them like could go fuck themselves. But if you're gonna do them, like they survive on like the flimsiest of formats, meaning like you need your top guy. You need to have multiple top people, and you got to see a couple of them a couple times throughout the night. You got to be creative. And when Raw got really fortified with the 3 hours, like in the fall of last year, when it like quietly became like a very good show for about like 6 weeks, it was because Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were opening the shows with babyface saves and closing them with 25-minute tags. Cody was in the middle of the show. Rhea was in a big thing. Drew McIntyre's having mid-card matches with people and promos and so on and so forth.
Happy days. We'll see what they do. You know, they're gonna have to get creative. Like I said, 3 hours of TV is it's tough.
I will say this Braun thing is it's the news I needed today, Monty. You know, it's the news I needed today.
It's good shit, man.
I talked to Rob. I don't know if you saw Rob's tweet. He was like, I get to talk about Braun Breakker on Tuesday mornings, and I was like, thank God, because I was looking around. I was telling Joe this like on Friday night. I was like, what do I have? Like, what's left? What's going on? Like, what do I have?
You do this every fucking couple of months, though, bro. So it's not new. It's
no Cody is brutal.
Yeah, last year it was no Pong. You know, it's
what do I have?
No Pong's not here either, but. Push 199, appreciate it. Any word on where Punk ends up? Surely Raw. Well, we're gonna find out in an hour and a little bit.
My guess is Raw.
Anjan, $2. Anjan, $2, appreciate it. That TNA card, my God. #2. #impact the biz.
They're really bad.
What is this card?
So Under Siege.
What show?
Under coming Siege. Up, Monty. Under Siege, the main event.
I've seen the main event, so tell the people.
The System. Eddie Edwards. Moose. The former... What's Kurt Hawkins' current name?
Brian Myers.
Versus Speedball Mountain. That's Speedball Mike Bailey and Trent Seven. Led by Matt Hardy. Broken Matt Hardy. It is a preview tag for the eventual Matt Hardy versus Moose TNA World Heavyweight Championship match.
I have to say, I know that Matt Hardy is still in the headlines, and it's fun to dunk on Matt Hardy, and I get it. Speedball Mountain should have someone in prison. That is just the idea of having Speedball Mike Bailey, who I'm not even like a huge fan of, but it's like he's so reliable to have exciting matches. I mean, like, let's put him in a tag team with Trent Seven. Fuck, man. Like, at that point, why even bother? You know? Like, at least with Matt Hardy, like, he was a famous professional wrestler. People know. I get it. Kind of. Trent Seven, bro.
Yeah, but this is what TNA have done with Speedball, bro. It's basically the story of his entire run. It's just kind of like it's like they're just blind to it.
Like, at least when he was in the X division, he could have like exciting matches on the undercard.
Even it took him forever to win the belt.
Oh yeah,
you know, like, it's ridiculous.
Trent Seven.
Yeah, I agree. It's aggressive. But TNA Under Siege. The match, the big main event that you just broke down. We have a Knockouts World Championship, Tag Team Champions, Jody Fret and Danny Luna versus Alicia Edwards and Masha Slamovich. X Division Champion Mustafa Ali defends against Ace Austin or Trey Miguel. Hammerstone versus Jake Something. Jordan Grace and PCO versus Steph DeLanda and Khan. Who's Khan? Khan as in
the former Khan
as in
from the Ascension. His name is Khan. Kon.
Josh Alexander and Eric Young versus Frankie Kazarian and Steve Macklin.
Well, hold on.
That sounds like the most. That sounds like the most
the best
TNA
match on the card.
That would be quite good, probably.
That sounds like the most TNA, like 3 1/4 to 3 1/2 from absolute pros that just work their butts off to have a solid wrestling match.
Yeah,
wrestlers all like,
Must be said that the Jordan Grace Steph Delana match from the Pape was very unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
The less said.
Yes,
Berkey, 199. Ibu, you will suffer for that Mavs tweet.
Yeah, this is in reference to my tweet where I said that this Mavs comeback that they were having last night was predictable because they came back from like 30 down in that game. But ultimately, they weren't able to close the deal. And the Clippers, led by James Harden in the fourth quarter, were able to salvage the game and win and tie the series 2-2. I still maintain that James Harden and Paul George are two of the most unfortunate playoff performers of my lifetime.
Yeah, just still. At the end of the day, the one. So, it is what it is. But, like Ibu said, there were 30 points up and it ended up being, like a 4-point win or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Songanda, 14 Zar. Thoughts on Melo's performance on Friday? I thought he looked pretty decent, to be honest.
I thought he was totally fine, to be completely honest. I hate the format of SmackDown when it comes to the matches because their main event...
8 minutes.
Yeah, but, like, it just doesn't... I mean, if it was 8 minutes wall-to-wall, no commercials, I'm totally fine with that. But, like, the matches, because of the format, they really have, like, the space to materialize into anything worthwhile. It's why, like, last year, remember there was a stretch, like, in the middle of the year last year, where all the good matches on WWE TV were from one show and not the other one. But with that notwithstanding, I actually thought Melo was pretty fine. I thought, like, the presentation and booking of him was the thumbs up. And I like the post-match because it pretty much indicated, like, one of those, like, you're not there yet, but rise to this level, and I'll be back here at the top of the mountain. Are you going to make it back up type of thing? And I could easily see, like, Melo, like, being a payback challenger for Cody Rhodes or some shit.
Corey David, $12. Appreciate it. If Raw wanted
dominance is what he meant to say.
If Raw wanted dominance in the draft, select Obafemi, Ilya, Dijak, Frazier, Axiom, Fallon Henley, Dragon Lee, EO, Lyra, JC Jane, trade JD for Cedric. That's a lot there, brother. That's a lot there, mate. Corey David, $2. Who should NXT try to get from the main roster?
I think they should. I think Indy and Candice should move because Indy could brush up. But Candice, here's the thing with Candice. She's a veteran. She can work, but she doesn't resonate with main roster crowds. They don't care about her wrestling. However, in the PC, she could have very solid matches with Roxanne Perez and an incoming Julia. So that would be a good one. Cedric Alexander should be down there, but they did not move him down, which is preposterous. I don't know why they didn't move him. He's clearly just a preliminary job.
But it's a weird thing because the Good Brothers got drafted to SmackDown, but they're on NXT this week.
Yes.
It's like
the rosters are locked, Joe, on May 7th.
Oh, sorry. Yes. I'm sorry. I didn't know that.
They made the rosters will lock in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, the chat was saying Shinsuke. I think that's a good idea.
What's he going to do?
He's going to be over huge, and at least it'll be fun to have around all the youngsters, He's Shin. Like,
is there any
on the main roster, dude? There's nothing left for Shin.
He's done. Yeah, he's totally done. He's totally done. Jesus Christ. Can you imagine him being one of the beneficiaries of, like, Raw being wide open?
Good luck.
I'll just stop reviewing.
Corey David, $5. Appreciate you again. It seems WWE trying to retain their talent. Who do you see jumping besides Sheamus? Also, when's Wardlow gonna realise he might gotta leave, bro? Got no motion. Oh, we don't actually know when his contract's up, so it's like if his contract's up in like 2 years' time, it's redundant. If he does think it's time for him to go, you know what I mean? He might as well just
in
see what this Undisputed Kingdom stuff does for him.
In 2022, I could have sworn he hinted that it was up in 2024, but I feel like he re-upped at some point in that time frame. I can't remember.
Jumanji Hunter, $2. Appreciate it. Give your thoughts about the WWE Chris Gentle stuff. Ibu. $2. No, hold on, bro. $2 super chat for a conversation that's like a
So
whole.
I'll be brief. I'll be
Yeah,
brief.
if you got like a couple sentences and cool, like,
Yeah,
come on, brother.
Listen, $10 will give it a segment. But yeah, look, I'll say this about the Gentle stuff. It's resulted. Yeah, it's
bro. The initial Joe Lanza voices of wrestling clips like 42 minutes.
Yeah, he went in depth.
Like,
And, I'll say this about it.
Go on.
It's resulted in some really funny memes, and I think it's good to know as an audience, like, how the soup is made, or whatever the analogy is, or whatever the fuck it's called. I co-sign everybody who wants more transparency in the media when it comes to where they get what they're reporting to you from. I absolutely am pro that as well. I don't think with this information, what we should do is just harass innocuous members of the media. And I don't think every story that's published that's pro WWE is from him. But if it smells like a rat or whatever the fuck, I feel like Manny right now. I'm bad with all the euphemisms today, but the point is, if it smells like it's fishy, then it might be fishy. And again, I do think that transparency is good. On WWE's end, they're just doing what they should be doing, which is PR for the company. That's like what every major company should do. So that's my thoughts on the Legental stuff, and the Legental activity meme is very funny.
Yeah. There's a lot, There's a lot. The whole PR game, because that's what it is. Like, that's what it actually like. It's not just like the Chris Gentle WWE thing. Like, it's just the overall like big two PR game, which is, like I said, like we could do like a whole fucking half a podcast on that, but because obviously we've got our own experiences dealing with the media and stuff like that, So it's like it's a conversation for another day. I don't think we'll have the time for it today, though.
Good.
Oh shit! What did that super chat just say?
What are your thoughts on WWE's PR strategy, Joe?
What did that super chat just say? Does anyone remember?
It said, "Why do a draft if you're going to move two people? Fight." I will say,
okay.
Yeah, it was Hush. Hush said, "Why they didn't draft and move like two people?"
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll say this. I'll reassess that, and we'll talk about it on the Raw review when it comes to like where everything shakes out after tonight. Because allegedly, Fightful says that there's going to be more switches and call-ups tonight. We'll see with that one and see if it makes things a bit more interesting. But if it's similar tonight, and it's a lot of people just holding steady, then you might as well just call it like a trade deadline or a superstar shakeup. But I'd imagine in their minds they're thinking that the draft name carries cachet, even though it's again, it's like
we talked about this. You could do like a trade season, and then there's an episode of TV that is deadline. And the idea is anyone can show up because the GMs are making deals at like a crazy pace.
Yes, it'd be very interesting
because like it was crazy on Friday. Like they even was phrasing it that way at times of like SmackDown keeps Randy Orton. It's I don't know. It's
Hunter.
It's
Hunter had to on the mic go like, I have to stress, it is very imperative that these people retain their guys. It's very important, because he knew he's like, well, why these people are just staying where they go. So he's like, he has to kind of like be like, it's very important that you retain your top talent while in the business of acquiring other talent.
I also hate that like they just fought for Braun Andrade and now they've flipped immediately. It makes both guys look dumb,
I will say they teased this, Joe, like a few weeks ago in a backstage deal where one of the GMs said to the other one like something along the lines of like, hey man, I could take one of your big splash guys or whatever. And he was like, don't even fucking dare, because I'll get you back. It was like something like that. And I was like, oh, they're going to flip one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Matt Hennessy, €5.99. Appreciate it. With Drew signing a new deal, does he win the World Heavyweight Championship at Clash at the Castle? Does Gunther get drafted to SmackDown and face Cody at Berlin for the WWE title? I think that's meant to say. Drew being a World Heavyweight Champion, I think it's just a matter of time anyway. Similar to kind of how him signing a new deal just felt like a matter of time as well. So, Clash at the Castle, obviously it makes all the sense in the world. So, Cody versus Gunther in Berlin, that would be great. But I think Gunther's going to stay on Raw. Do you think?
Kind of feels like they need him, right? It feels like it.
I think Gunther's going to stay on Raw.
Yeah.
$2 from Corey David. Appreciate you as always. Is it time to admit Rey Mysterio is a Vortex too?
No.
No. Where's this come from?
No.
Because of Carlito stinking it off, you know.
I would not mind Ray and Dragon Lee just moving by themselves to like a different show, and then like you send some of those fuckers to NXT, and then like you put Zelina back with Andrade.
The thing is with the Vortex as well, it's like if you see one of a wrestler that you like or something, and they get put into a Jericho Vortex or the throwback Cody Vortex, you know, it's like it's one of those things where you roll your eyes at it. You're like, oh no. But if you're a fan of Dragon Lee and you see him being co-signed and tagging with Rey Mysterio, that's like almost objectively a good thing, you know. So it's just not the same thing, is it? You know, it's just not the same. Shoretown Spurs, $5. Appreciate you. They were chanting F. Embiid in his own house. Philly might never recover.
Yeah, we took over the city. That's the bottom line. We took over the city. The media thought that the Brooklyn Nets were going to take over the market share of the New York Knicks when they don't understand how strong this passionate fan base is. All it took was a good Knick team for us to get cheered in New York at the Garden, in Brooklyn and their arena, in fucking Philadelphia, in Miami, in Orlando, in Washington. We absolutely own the East Coast.
Mustafa 499, appreciate it. Swerve Squadron versus the Elite. Kenny's gonna make Hangman and Swerve work together, but it will explode and we get Hanger winning the belt at Wembley.
I'd rather Swerve not be a flag-waving squadron leader for Team AEW.
Team Tony.
Yeah, I'd rather him just be a cool guy, you know, on the show.
Team Tony.
Kenny, going from breaking into breaking into what was it, Nick Wayne's house or whatever, when he beat up Nick Wayne and bloodied him and broke into Hangman's house. Now he's like, how dare you disrespect Tony Khan? It's kind of weird.
GN £2, appreciate it. What will the 4 big matches for SummerSlam be?
Cole Anderson versus
I was about to say it's hard to tell from this early, but Joe's got it, you know.
Depends on Roman's
some
schedule.
sort of there definitely could be some like Bloodline Civil War action again. I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We don't even predicting this before the draft is even finished is tough because we don't even know what fucking show.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very tough.
Just gut feeling, it's tough, but for the sake of the conversation, Cody's ideal opponent for the SummerSlam.
I could do a couple people. I could do Gunther. I could do, even though I don't know if WWE would main event the show with this, I could do Andrade if they wanted to do that. You could do Randy Orton if you wanted to do Randy.
Yeah.
I think you do Randy, you know. It's the biggest realistic stage for it, and with Randy, you know, we're counting down the days, brother. Appreciate him while we've got him, you know. And he's going to get harder and harder for him as the years go by. I don't think it's really a Mania match for Cody because you expect him to probably main event the next few WrestleManias, except for maybe like, you know, if they do Roman Rock, that'll be like the one he doesn't main event, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't think Randy Orton, obviously at this age of his career, of course, another time it would have been. I don't think that's a Mania main event, but SummerSlam, you know. So SummerSlam this year, I think it's probably the time to do it. To be honest,
would you do it as a babyface match?
No, and that's where it gets a bit tough because it's like you've got so much value in Randy at the moment as a babyface, but that's where it's not my decision to make, you know.
Yeah, that's challenging because I also think it's one of those where if you turn Randy, they might like him even more. And it could be difficult for Cody, you know.
You know what I'm pissed at is like Randy's last run as a heel rocked, and it was wasted on it was wasted on an awful product. And like he did that great turn on Edge where he concertoed him, and again he had that heel run for about a year or so, and again it's like
legend killer again.
And I just feel like, and the thing, even though like WWE was just creatively incoherent at the time, he did undergo that arc when he was teaming with Riddle, where he was just trying to be a decent person, and like Riddle, the whole joke was like Riddle's like so oblivious, like he thinks Randy's a cool guy because he's just an idiot, even though everyone knows Randy's a piece of shit, and it worked. And so for him to just kind of be like, well, I'm an asshole again, and I want you all to just kind of buy that and emotionally now just accept I'm bad when like you all like just happily like me as a legend, it'll be tough. It's also why I wish that none of that Randy heel run didn't happen, and they just did it now. But yeah, it's just tough. Turning him now would be tough.
Yeah, I'd do a babyface match. I think so.
Hush $4.99. That still works as well. But
Yeah.
Hush $4.99. Appreciate it. Now that Rock is helping negotiations per the Drew McIntyre re-signing, it feels like the bigger names won't be leaving WWE. I feel like Seth and Becky is a lot. Well, you know, when Dwayne The Rock Johnson gets you a special gift with your negotiations,
that was really funny.
Like Drew McIntyre got a sword, you know. It's
how far does it go though? Like, are they going to be underneath guys coming up and Dwayne pulls them aside? Listen, you know.
That's how I like to think it.
Yeah.
I think it is. You know,
Can you man Pete Dunne just being like, "Hey Dwayne, I'm finding my work, yeah. You know, I need a new deal or whatever." But yeah, Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch are not leaving the WWE. So it's just point blank. Period. They're just not leaving WWE.
yeah. Anas the Sultan, $5. Appreciate the TK Weinstein thing doesn't sit right. Also, I don't know how I forgot Cody versus Gunther as a big time match. How can you
That's
forget?
the match.
How can you forget?
It's the match.
How
Yeah, I
can you
agree.
forget? Kale 50 pesos. Big Joe and the other two. Hope you're having a good day. Always remember it's Tippy time. I'm happy you said this one.
I want Tiffany to move to Raw because I want to see her fight Becky Lynch again.
God bless. But yeah, I'm happy you sent this one. Joe never believes me when I tell him that he's over with the WrestlePurists audience.
Yeah, people really like Joe Holbrook.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate
The
thing.
comments, you know, it's like people love Holbrook.
I tried to quit a show the other week and it got hung over my head. I was over. It was horrible.
I love how everyone knows exactly which show it is as well. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like,
My exact words were, I can say it because this is funny. And I actually had a great time on Thursday and I'm happy to host. Because hosting to me, I just have to direct the conversation. It's fun. But I genuinely text one, I owe you 2 shows on Thursdays. And after that, I'm out of here. Like I was moving on to a different territory, you know, but I'm gonna stick with it. It's a good time. And Chuck and I are so easy to pod with, so good times.
yeah, that's the thing, and even when the shows are terrible, it's like you can still pop for an hour or so, you know.
Chuck is genuinely the easiest person to pod because she'll fantasy book too. So it's like, you know, what's Hangman doing next June?
Yeah,
you know,
you don't even got to play.
She's got notes on it, you know, dissertations. She's
like, all right, okay.
She's got material, bro. Hush $1.99. Appreciate you again. Randy needs to punt the fuck out of Cody in the build.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Like these things would hit if he didn't like do this like 90,000 times, like on like Pandemic Raws. Am I talking crazy by saying that? Like I feel like
no, I get what you mean. Yeah,
yeah,
it
like
won't hit the same, but it would still hit because it's just such a. It depends how emotionally invested you get people into the Cody Randy Orton thing because obviously they've already kind of touched on it a few times. Cody's talked about it candidly at press conferences and stuff like that. But in terms of making it like an on-screen thing, they've only kind of like touched on it. If they can really like develop that without making them like some corny tag team, then obviously that could be a thing where Randy's just so desperate to get, you know, he wants to break Flair's record or something, you know. He wants to get to number 17 before Cena or whatever the fuck it is, and he's obsessed with the world title.
I think
last time it was just a straight up legend killer reign, more or less, which was so good. He ended up with him being the best thing on the show, so he beat Drew for the title, and they went back and forth with it a bit, you know. So like that's kind of what that was. So
I think a more emotionally resonant thing at this point would not be, I'm just crazy again. I just punted Cody, who we were being buddy for a few weeks, only because that's just so derivative at this point. You know, it's not their fault. It's just something they've done so much that I think at this point, it's just so derivative. We don't remember the pandemic. Yeah, I think it's so derivative. To me, I feel like just something more like complicated as just.
Oh man.
You know what? Actually, the thing about we don't remember the pandemic, there is truth to. I've sensed this. There are people in the audience now that would actually not find this. They would not have seen it enough for it to be derivative. I honestly believe that. Different people are going to the shows now, man. Like maybe we're overthinking it. Maybe if Randy and RKO and punted Cody, they'd boo the hell out of him.
Maybe. Oh, let me make this clear. If he did all those things, it would get over huge. It would do great quarters. People would like these angles, and they would have a very good match that people would care about. I'm just talking about subjectively what I would personally find more interesting.
That makes sense.
And to me, I think something just more nuanced is just Randy's like looking at his own mortality. He's assessing the state of his physicality and his career coming to an end. And he's like, I'm tied with all these people for most championships. Why the fuck am I not going for this world title? And getting to a point where he's like, look, Cody, I got to get you. And you do a semi-sports build where Randy does have that edge, and he does eventually go, I'm going to fucking get you. And, you know, he's an asshole about it, and Cody's like, hey, listen, I respect you, Randy, but at the end of the day, you're not going to fucking beat me. I'm gonna end your career. You know, you throw some stakes in there, you personal stories, emotions, some interviews, MMA style, you know what I mean? And then you go to SummerSlam and they have a kick-ass match. But I see that I'm in the minority, and that's totally fine.
No, not necessarily. I think it's an interesting one. I'm definitely intrigued by, like, personally, I like the idea of babyface, you know, gunslinger Randy Orton. Like, can I do it?
Yeah.
I only need one RKO, you know, like one of those.
What makes it the reason why that's compelling is this. I've noticed immediately on one SmackDown appearance that Cody Rhodes has finally changed his role in WWE. In WWE, he was the wide-eyed, working from underneath babyface. And in AEW, he was the veteran incumbent champion, the mountain, the guy that was the measuring stick for a lot of the wrestlers that were facing him. He was the guy that's like, get at my level. I'm better than you. I'm the ace. And you saw that when he was the TNT champion. And he did not play this role in WWE. But against Carmelo Hayes, there was almost this like confident arrogance of like, I'm just the best. And in the match, it's almost like he's urging Carmelo Hayes to show him that he's even worthy of being in the ring with him. It was actually, in a weird way, like, I know people cringe at this type of thing, but kind of Okada-like. But I say all that to say, you could find yourself in a position where it come like SummerSlam, where Cody's just like, yo, Randy Orton, I respect all that. I'm going to give you this match, but I'm just a better wrestler than you. So you're not going to beat me because I am better than you at professional wrestling. And you do the build like that. And Randy's just like, you can say all of that, but like nobody has gotten me when I'm able to get one RKO. And you just build it. You build it around that idea. You build it around that concept, the personal stakes, the you know, the emotions, all that, you know. But yeah.
Shot on Spurs, $5. There's only one way to get Orton heel heat. Pharaoh, get ready to take an RKO. Wow. I think that would work, you know.
It'd be funny.
All right, let's start with because it's already been touched. Drew McIntyre's re-signed with WWE, reportedly a 3-year deal. Both sides are very happy about it, as we already touched on earlier. He's dealing with an injury at the moment, and reportedly will be taking some time off TV. But he has signed a new deal with WWE. Big money, 3 years, announced by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson on his Instagram. That's a great part of it, isn't it, Joe? Dwayne announcing signings, you know.
Because I was never, I never ever bought well, I shouldn't say never. It's been a long time since I've believed Drew was going anywhere. So for me, the highlight was that Dwayne announced it to get, as though he needed any more Instagram engagement. He breaks that story too.
Yeah, man. It's no one's surprised, are they? But nobody should be too surprised anyway.
No, I've been under the belief that Drew McIntyre is staying pretty much once they started doing this new character with him in this new direction. Dave Meltzer said at the time that like his Drew wanted like just better, more dedicated creative first and foremost, and more money. And they absolutely, because Joe, you remember when we were talking about the state of Drew McIntyre last summer, when he was just kind of generic babyface Drew, kind of like trudging through in the middle there. It was kind of weird. Like it was kind of crazy to see. It was like he's just, for lack of a better term, kind of just there and boring. But this new direction kind of happened, and he clearly got the most narrative dedication of any character in wrestling, with his resentment towards Jey Uso, so on and so forth, and how that spiraled into everything we got now. Made it pretty clear, like he's the priority. And when this year started, I was like, he's not leaving. And he set up the program with CM Punk, who's injured. It was like, well, no shit, he's not leaving. So no, this isn't coming as a surprise to me. What I was surprised at was like how long it took for it to be officially confirmed, even though I personally believe that they've agreed in principle to a deal of some kind for a while. That's my personal belief. So yeah.
Well, according to PW Insider, WWE and Drew McIntyre finally came to terms on a new deal about 2-3 days ago. This was obviously on Saturday, so around mid last week. The video that The Rock posted on his Instagram was actually shot well before that, in advance, so WWE had something they could put out
What does
once
that
they
tell you?
finalised negotiations, but discussions weren't concluded until just a few days ago. It's a multi-year deal, and both sides are extremely happy with it. One source believed the deal was in the area of 3 years.
Well, firstly, good for Drew. Very much deserves it. I'm thrilled for him that he's been able to really become hotter than ever at this point in his career. But that is a hilarious combination of things.
Information,
we ain't agreed on a deal, but let's shoot this fucking thing for the gram, bro. Let's get Dwayne sorted. That's crazy to me. I don't know. I ain't ever done no deal like that. Maybe that's how it works. I don't know. Sounds kind of weird.
It gives credence to what I literally said right before, when I said I've been of the belief that they've agreed to a deal a long time ago.
Sure.
Which is why it would make sense that they were like,
it doesn't matter.
It says in the report twice that they came to agreement very recently. So
well, listen, yes, official pen to paper, dotted I's, crossed T's, of course. But there can be a mutual understanding on both parties. Like, listen, we can have the legal people figured out, but I'm not leaving, type of thing.
It's no grand conspiracy anyway. It doesn't matter. I'm happy for Drew. He's re-signed. He's going to make clearly a lot of money, and he's got some big business to do, man. That Punk deal is going to be one of the biggest matches of the year.
They should have kayfabed the public, to be honest, though. I think they should have let us think that it was expired.
I'm surprised.
Do you think anyone would have bought it, though?
No, but it's still a story you could tell. With the CM Punk, my deal's running out, I'm going to walk away with the championship thing.
The Punk part of it made me think that's what they were going to do, yeah. That's what I expected. That part is strange. I don't know. I think this next few months are going to be fascinating in terms of where that World Heavyweight title goes.
Yeah.
Just in a weird place, right? Like Jey Uso versus Damian Priest. It's like...
Can you imagine if Damian Priest lost to Jey at Backlash?
I think he might. I think there's a chance that Jey then drops it to Drew.
Yeah,
that's where it started, right? The Jey and Drew things where...
Right. So they could do it. The shame is that their chemistry is abysmal. But
yeah.
Their chemistry is really bad.
Figure it out.
And their chemistry is really bad.
They're over.
Happening in Glasgow, they'd be fine. But
I wish Jey was in the form he was in Mania season last year. And in terms of a character
and
a
tag team.
It's crazy. He was in a tag team when that happened, but my God, his promo work at the time where he was just like, you remember he told Sami Zayn, "You thought I was gonna choose you? It's family shit, boy. It's family shit." Oh, he's super kicking him and shit. And now he's coming out and he's being a freaking master of ceremonies on Monday Night Raw, and he's like, it's the yeet promos and shit.
Yeet punches.
He's the most flanderized character I've ever seen, man. It's unfortunate.
The yeet glasses.
People love him though, and they like Monty do the hands up, hands down thing. They love doing that.
Listen, I was at the house shows. Hit a little,
It's just me, Oos,
He was so over, man.
It is just him. He was the second most over person on the show.
If Jey doesn't,
comfortably.
If Jey doesn't win, it's like, who are the people they have lined up to fight Damian Priest for the next 2 months? Like, who do you start?
How do I put this? Dame Priest is going to is that going to be the main event in Glasgow? You seen how much money they're charging for those tickets, brother? I mean, good Lord.
Yeah, that. Yeah, that just feels like one of those matches where you're just watching it for the finish. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now it does make more sense in that Drew's going to be a babyface in Glasgow. That's just the way it is. So it makes more sense in that way. Unless Punk is ready for that. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that Punk said in the interview with Hawaii, he said there's some shows over the summer that aren't announced yet.
Yeah.
And that show
I think Punk's at Clash Order.
Really?
Ever since the Hawaii, ever since that what you just referenced, I think he's going to be a Clash.
He would love that.
Or very close. I think that's his target.
Right.
To be back for the week before.
Would you guys mind
an angle or something?
Would you guys mind the company saying fuck it and just giving Drew the belt earlier than Glasgow and just doing Punk and Drew at Glasgow?
Absolutely not. I mean, the only question there is
Know your audience, here, bro.
does the match even need the belt? It would be the only question, and I don't care about that. So, like, sure, but it's
Right.
Punk in Glasgow would be. I mean, we saw what he did when the collision run, when they were booing him, how much fun he had with that, and he was ridiculous. I mean, he would be unhinged in that setting. I think.
I think Punk and Drew could have a trilogy. To be honest with you,
I think they'll have a series, definitely. Yeah, I mean,
I think
there's
they
going to
could do one in Glasgow, one in Cleveland for SummerSlam, and then the Berlin show.
Well, with the amount of build that they've put into it now, obviously because of injuries and stuff like that, and they probably would have already had a match by now and shit. But they put so much time into it. So you can't just do one match,
Yeah.
It's a shame that the earliest option is probably going to be Glasgow, because I'd honestly make their first pay-per-view match go to a no contest and they just fight in the audience, kind of like Eddie Kingston and Gabriel Kidd earlier this year.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, Drew McIntyre, new deal. A few reports on it. Anything else? Like I said, multi-year big money deal from Fightful Select, and also many of the new contracts will be big money multi-year deals, and more expected to be completed or announced soon. PW Insider confirming that he will not be back on TV immediately, recovering from his badly hyperextended elbow. And yeah, man, Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, you see, Dave Meltzer's had an update that said that he will be on TV. Like, he will not. I think he said he's not doing like the house shows, but he will do TV or something. I don't know if you saw that update, Monty, but he put that out, I think, today.
I think. Do you know?
All right. You know what, Montel? I'll look it up.
You gotta get your facts. You gotta get your facts straight. You're gonna just drop it. We don't do our things here. It's dangerous game at WrestlePurists. Since that is an injury thing, we might as well talk about these injuries. There's so many injuries at the moment, isn't it? There's so the injury bug thing is real at the moment for both companies. So where do you even start? So Dax Harwood in the FTR Young Bucks ladder match at Dynasty, he suffered a concussion, so he's out. This isn't injury news, but Sammy Guevara, he's still suspended, reportedly, according to Dave Meltzer, ever since the whole miscommunication he had with Jeff Hardy, where what even happened? Well, Sammy hit a 450, accidentally landed on Jeff's face, fucked Jeff up, and then obviously the match should have been stopped or whatever, but Sammy just kind of carried on. Hit his what does he go to GTH? What does he call it? He said go to sleep. Yeah, he hit his GTH finisher on him. So that got him in some hot water there. Apparently still suspended. That was a while ago now. Sonya Deville back training. Apparently, she's getting ready for her comeback. She's been out for a minute, so good to hear that. Dominik Mysterio, elbow injury. Initially, it was reported that he was going to need surgery, but Dom kind of killed that and said he's not going to need surgery. Then a later report stated that he's just going to be rehabbing it with physiotherapy. So, yeah, see how long Dominik Mysterio is going to be out. Hopefully, just a couple months or something. But surgery would have put him out for 9 months. So obviously, the injury isn't exactly a light one. But he has been on TV, and I'm sure he probably will continue to pop up on TV because he just gets so much heat, man. Powerhouse Hobbs, knee injury. Fightful Select reports that it's a significant injury and he's not expected back anytime soon, which is super unfortunate. Not sure on the actual details, whether it's an ACL, MCL, knee sprain, whatever it is, But a knee injury, and he's going to be out for a minute. Jim Uso is legitimately injured. I know they did the big bloodline angle, but according to Fightful Select, he is legitimately injured, although the injury itself is unspecified at this time. Julia Hart, she's been dealing with shoulder injuries and stuff. Of course, she worked the match at Dynasty, God bless, dropped the title to Willow. But yeah, she's been dealing with injuries lately, and she's apparently contemplating surgery at the moment, so she could be out for a while. Darby Allin was out anyway and was just recently hit by a fucking bus. It's the way he casually announces these things. Like he just posts a picture of himself fucked up, and he's like, when you're crossing the street in New York with a broken foot and you get hit by a bus, and you're like, what?
He is such a cartoon character. Like it feels like just things happen to him, and he just kind of shakes it off. He's like, oh fuck, she got hit by a bus. It's like, what the hell? Wasn't his foot already cooked? I hope he didn't hurt that.
Yeah, his foot was he shattered his foot, didn't he? He shattered his foot.
Injuries.
So he couldn't climb Everest, and then he ended up getting hit by a fucking bus. Nobody liked Darby, you know.
I miss him. I wonder if he's going to be this thing to the Elite NWO.
Hey, man.
You know, they're taking over the company. They're taking over everything. What if are they going to do the Darby and the Rafters things, lamenting and watching the state of the promotion that he once loved? You know, he's because here's the thing, because we were talking about like Team AEW and Swerve and shit, and I just thought that was kind of weird. But like one of the characters who's always consistently been pro AEW as a governing body is Darby Allin. He's the guy who says like, I don't want to go anywhere else. I don't even care. I love AEW. It saved my life. I was homeless and da 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 da. So if it would be more plausible and believable if that character was the one kind of going like, and you fucking jackoffs have been trying to kill this company for so long now, and you're gonna think you're gonna succeed now. Like that would actually be something I could buy, to be honest.
That riveting television to you, Uber, WrestlePurists.
It depends. They're obviously trending in this direction anyway, Monty. And and Blood and Guts is coming out. You know
Take
it's
what
inevitable.
you can get.
Listen, they're gonna do Blood and Guts. You know they're gonna do another Anarchy in the Arena. You know there's gonna be a Team Tony Khan fighting for the company with the waving the jerseys. It's gonna happen.
Didn't you tweet earlier that they should just retire the stipulation?
Yeah. I don't think there should ever be another Anarchy in the Arena. But here's the thing. I can want something and know that it's not
fantasy booking shit that you think shouldn't happen.
Did you get the shit kicked out of you on that retire the stip thing?
Surprisingly, no. And I kind of suddenly threw out there that I thought last year's match stunk, but no one got mad. I was like,
wow,
yeah,
okay, well done.
You know why? You know why, Joe? It's because these fans are seeing a better version of the Elite now, and so because they're seeing a good Elite, they can be like, all right, well, maybe last year's Elite kind of did stink, I guess. The key is there needs to be a successor to the thing that you're shitting on,
Okay.
Okay, still on the injury thing, because the list continues.
My God.
I mean, CM Punk, obviously everyone knows he's out, but he did give a little update on Friday after SmackDown went off the air, saying that he's not 100% just yet, but he is on track. So I guess that kind of adds on to what we were talking about earlier with Clash of the Castle. And then I guess our own update on MJF. Sources close to the situation have confirmed to WrestlePurists that MJF has undergone surgery on his left shoulder. MJF was originally aiming for a March return and met with Tony Khan in Boston to discuss creative plans. The injuries to MJF and Adam Cole have dramatically affected the creative plans for the MJF vs. Undisputed Kingdom feud. Max was looking to come back and wrap it all up, but there is no timetable for his return right now. So obviously wishing MJF a speedy recovery from surgery. But yeah, obviously he was contemplating whether he was just going to like PT, rehab it, and try and just kind of grit his teeth and grind through it, really, I guess at some point. Well, in March he was originally aiming for, but obviously not possible. Had to get the surgery, go under the knife. Yeah, man. MJF, it looks like he's going to be out for a while because obviously he's had to wait. So he waited so long to see if he needed the surgery. Now he's got the surgery recently. It's like, he's going to be out for a minute, man.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think he made the right decision.
Sure.
You two will know more so than like our audience. I did do a tweet about it the other day, but like you two know how much it's been driving me insane that he was contemplating not getting surgery. So, yeah, man. It's the right choice, isn't it?
He's too young, man. He's too young to be, putting his long-term health and even just career beyond this single chapter in jeopardy to finish an angle with the devil. Like it's never that deep. Like I think surgery was always the right decision. I understand why he was kind of stubborn about it. I understand the professional pride of that, and I also understand that with the angle it was, he probably felt like, I want to right this wrong in some ways. I totally get it, but he ended up making the right decision, and hopefully, obviously speedy recovery, all that good stuff. I wish him well, and when he's back, I think the people will be thrilled to see him. Legitimately,
Yeah.
like I know there's like a million and one debates online, but like when his music hits in an AEW arena, he's going to get a hero's reception.
Well, even beyond that, this is just how this works. You're already starting to see the worm turn on Max online when it comes to, because what happens is people just miss people when you don't see them. Why do you think people have been advocating for Chris Jericho to take a break? Because the way wrestling fans work, they don't see you for 5-6 weeks, and it's like, kind of miss this guy. And so with Max, like, yeah, he had a couple bad months at the end there, but like he's still a pivotal talent for the company and someone who actually like was able to draw main eventing multiple pay-per-views. So yeah, look, he's going to come back and get heroes welcome and get a big reaction and be better for it. So you might as well get your shoulder totally right before you do that, rather than rushing back on like a, on a natural rehab where you might risk retweaking it. Johnny Gargano tried doing that last year and it gave him trouble for like months. Like Johnny Gargano's shoulder was cooked from like January to like June, on and off, because of like he was on and off the road because he was trying to rehab it naturally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, MJF seems like he's going to be out for a minute. He'll be out for a minute, but as you said, Joe, he's too young, man. And it's like he's also just he's too valuable, because it's not like he's a young guy in their 20s who's ascending up the card and he needs to get back into the game to continue that ascent. MJF is already there, bro. Like MJF is already like made it. Like he's already an established main eventer, and he's fucking 28 or whatever the fuck he is.
Right.
So yeah, there's no point him trying to like just drag his body through like rehab, physiotherapy, all these different things when surgery. Obviously surgery can always go wrong and stuff like that. You'd assume that it's gone right, and he has no complications in his recovery, and he can kind of get back to the best version of himself that he can be. Like, because that's what matters. His body is what's going to make him his money. So what's the point in putting himself through like bullshit for what, like you said, for the fucking Undisputed Kingdom feud? It's like, come on. Like, when you're 40, are you going to be happy you did that? Probably not,
Right.
So
he already toughed it out for the Joe match, man. It's pretty obvious. He really shouldn't have been having that match. He did it. And it was an admirable effort, but that should be enough of that. Now go get fixed, and hopefully there's some time now. So the creative should be like, that's something you want to get right, man. Even when it's time for Max to come back, you want to get that creative right. So there's no reason not to start thinking about it, right? So we'll see.
Yeah. So yeah, MJF, and that's kind of all the injury news, I think. Unless I've missed anyone. Well, injury and suspension news, because the Sammy Guevara thing as well. I think that's everyone. It's a long list.
Terrible.
And that's just recent ones. Obviously, except for CM Punk, who obviously was injured ages ago. But an update, about him coming back. Sonya Deville's obviously a positive update. She's on her way back. So maybe we say Braun Strowman. Obviously, Braun Strowman. No reports that he's been cleared or anything like that, but there was a promising update from PW Insider saying that he is in town for Raw tonight, WWE Draft Night 2. So it's like, and he is eligible to be drafted. He has appeared on the graphics. So, hopefully he's back, because I think everyone, all the worldwide listeners know. We're fans of Big Braun, man. He's a beast.
Yes, again, everyone and I can be very dramatic, but that was a triumph we needed at the moment. So we're flying back. Very excited to see where the big man lands. Team, it could decide my allegiance, right? Raw or SmackDown. I'm still a free agent, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very much leaning towards SmackDown. I gotta be honest with you. I think I like maybe two of the wrestlers that Raw got. So it's pretty difficult.
Morgan and Ricochet.
Tonight's the one with all the moves and the NXT call-ups.
Corey Brennan of Fightful. He keeps reiterating on the timeline that tonight's going to be a heavy NXT night, that they're basically going to get picked dry tonight. And I'm just thinking, like, there are certainly people that I would pick, right? But like I don't know how much time we have, but just like real quick, who are guys in your view that would actively help main roster TV right now? Like to me, it's like let's say we totally forego the whole like we want to preserve the quality of NXT as a show. Let's say we just said fuck that, just take whoever we think is good, right? Like fuck NXT. If that was the mindset, right? Who are you taking? Like to me, it's like Dijak, Lyra, Dragunov, obviously, Axiom, Nathan Frazier. I wouldn't go that much beyond that.
Well, I think the thing with NXT as well is that I don't think it's really should be set up in a way where it can just get picked dry during a draft, where you've got like 8 people at the same time all like needing to be called up. Ideally, it would just be like kind of a small handful of names, like 3-4 people that move on. So you kind of can still cycle it. You can still cycle your main event in NXT nicely, but you're also not just kind of killing that brand and just kind of. Because it's eight talent that you would have to fucking book then on the main roster and find things for, and not them just kind of fall into the wayside. Like take Laura Valkyria for example, very talented, good worker, young, and there is definitely something there. And in terms of her ability and how she's progressed, she probably is due time to move up to the main roster. However, someone like Laura Valkyria is going to need some good creative to connect with the audience. Otherwise, it's just going to be like a Candice LeRae, Tegan Knox situation,
Yeah. I think with NXT, you're actually better, like, doing call-ups when there's, like, a spot for someone or there's an idea for someone.
Yeah, an idea.
Like, the idea of just, like, calling up 10 people to NXT and being like, they're on the show now,
Let's start.
Like, yeah. I mean, and some wrestlers will, look, someone like Ilya, he'll be fine because he just wrestles. Yeah, but like I don't know enough about Lyra, but like some of the NXT homegrowns that are probably going to get called up, it's very hard to get over when you have one match every month and you're just in the rotation very loosely, So
look what's happened to Cameron Grimes, bro.
Yeah, and he's really good too.
Like,
he's
really good. Different aspect to the game as well.
Yeah.
It's not like he's just good in the ring.
I think, Joe, about like the recent call-ups that have been successful, even the ones that were successful, they had to kind of like slide into a spot or like a group or something to kind of like hang on to. Like Grayson Waller, they just transplanted NXT Grayson Waller to the main roster. He had matches, he did that talk show, and like nobody gave a fuck, and it just was nothing. And then hilariously, of all things, they paired him with a Theory, and they were like, okay, SmackDown needs a bumping heel tag team to catch RKOs, and all of a sudden, like they have a spot. JD McDonough, like he got called up, he was nothing, and then they said, well, Judgment Day could use another bumping fucking jackass in their group, and boom, now he's a TV regular. So we'll see with some of these guys. I mean, maybe the best thing for Lyra would be literally being like Becky's understudy on TV.
That's the thing with Lyra. It's like the women's division on Raw, as you mentioned, is
fucking awful.
Thin. So to say there's vacancies there would be an understatement. Like they need depth there. So,
but that doesn't.
I think that's what they have to do with Laura. I think they have to like work. Yeah, like go because obviously Becky went back and there was like a big thing that they did in NXT. I think you have to touch on that. She needs to be,
even some credit.
She needs to get she needs to get the rub off Becky, whether they're in a tag team for a bit, whether they have like a respectful babyface feud, whether you know what I mean. Like they need to do something with Becky because she needs, like I said, she's a good wrestler, man, and she's come along a lot. But if she just gets thrown up to the main roster as just like another woman, then she's just it's gonna end up just being like Candice and Tegan Knox, and neither of them are bad wrestlers either. It's just like no one cares, It's because they've got no reason to care. Like you
Tegan
can't just throw these women.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's pretty bad.
But the point is right though, right?
Yes,
like I was there in Cardiff, so she got like she was supposed to get the big pop at home in Wales, and like she got a good reaction because of that. But you can tell the people she doesn't have a place on the TV show. You know what I'm saying? Like the people are like, she's the one, like she's just one of the women who has some tag matches on TV. So look, this is, we talk about this a lot, but there are wrestlers who will break through this, but ultimately creative is everything, man. Like,
yes.
Everything.
Not everyone's going to be Will Ospreay where he can just be himself.
Exactly. Like that, what you were just talking about with Lyra being with Becky, that would change her life because the audience immediately takes her as being important.
Joe, Tama Tonga is a game changer on WWE TV because he's in the bloodline.
He came in the hot angle, did a hot angle immediately following it. Because they had a plan for him.
He could have just been on like NXT. Like they could have just thrown him on
NXT. Sean Spears.
No one would have bat an eyelid. That's the thing,
no
right?
one would bat an eyelid, and no one would have given a shit. And he just would have been a person. You know what's not going to work though, Monty? If they just decide we have a quota to fill, pick a bunch of NXT girls that have been there for a bit and are not doing it. Like, let's say hypothetically, they're like, all right, fuck it. Fallon Henley is now on Raw, and what's
I'm worried about. I'm happy for Kiana James, especially seeing like the report that like it was like a legitimate surprise when she heard it called out and stuff. Like that is really cool, and I do think like fundamentally and stuff like she's good enough to like swim on the main roster. But it's just like I do worry that she's just gonna be another person. Like if they are bringing her up to make a splash with her, they've got creative already set out for her, and this is what she's gonna be doing for the next 3 months to get her over as a main roster TV character. I mean, really good for her. You know what I mean? I'm happy for her, but
I'd be looking to get drafted to
Raw. I'd look to make another women's stable. To be completely honest with you,
it's a good idea.
I'd make a stable of some kind. Like for example, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Like the former Kaylee Ray's a good worker, right? You could put them as backups to somebody. Like let's say hypothetically, like they wanted to call up a B Priestley and package them as something. Like even if it's not the biggest. They need to probably form a stable that'll help someone, and then you could build the tags on TV and get more people on TV and have good wrestling matches.
Yep.
So that's just something I'd look at. That's just something I'd look at. Like for example, Nia Jax. Just an idea there. If you realize this, they moved Nia to the show that's gonna have Jade and Bianca Belair. That's obviously because they want monsters for those women to beat. That's why that's happening.
Still need that Nia Jade.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
We got the Rumble, but we need I need the full version.
What I better see tonight, to be honest with you, is they need to. And Triple H talked about this in a video on Friday, and like he seemed real stressed and tired, but that's just his current disposition. But he was like, "Yeah, the key of the draft is like making things balanced and having a little bit of everything on both shows, and it's kind of tough, like figuring that out." But the truth is, Raw is a 3-hour show, and without the big talkers, you're gonna have to then fill this out with some wrestling, and so. Yeah, you might have to just, like I said, put all the European dudes on Raw. Like I would just throw like Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne, genuinely Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne, Ilya Dragunov, and fucking Gunther. So
poor Giovanni Vinci, man.
He probably. I wonder what they're gonna do with that.
He might go down to NXT.
Yeah, and I wouldn't hate it given that that's the situation. I wouldn't hate that.
Why did he get the boot?
I don't know. I mean, look, there's like there's something going on, but it's a shame. It's a shame.
He's a good worker, man.
He's a hell of a wrestler. You know what I could see happening, and it would annoy me, like because Triple H pacing for his stories is like 5 to 8 months. I could see him being like, we'll do an Ilya Imperium infiltration angle where he's in the group for like 6 months, and then he just stares at Gunther a lot. And people theorize, and then we break him up. Like I could see him doing some shit like that.
I could too, yeah.
I could see him just like if Ilya's in it or some shit or whatever the fuck. And 5 months from now, he reveals like, I had to get close to you to fight you, and blah 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 blah. And it's just like, why?
All right, quick fire, some super chats. Kale, 20 pesos. My agenda for next year's Mania: Julia versus Becky Lynch. Wouldn't complain. And that's the Sultan, $2. Appreciate you. Need Julia to give Diva Stans a heart attack. Hey, man. She might. Kirby Freeman, $2. Appreciate it. Give me Julia versus Tiffany Stratton. Real graps. A lot of Julia super chats.
They should suplex each other on the apron.
Mazfan84189. Thoughts on what's his name? The Beast Mortos.
The
Beast Mortos. Peak Perk Luchador. He's awesome. We spoke about him before. I think when he was I can't remember what show it was. We watched but we spoke very, very highly of Black Taurus at the time.
He faced Vikingo on a Rampage, I think was his last.
Yeah, and he's just such a great base that
He rules.
that when you pair him with a Vikingo, a Phoenix, you're always gonna get the floor's very high. It's like even on Saturday. Yeah, even on Saturday when he had the match with Phoenix, so the pace took me by surprise, but it was still a very good match,
Yeah.
So,
you know what he could have used, Joe? I actually would have done like 91 Fed vignettes with him, where like he's like eating dead bodies or some shit like a forest.
He's too unique to just have him just come out and just be like a guy who now loses matches on TV.
I would break my no hokey stuff rule for him. I'd have like Chavo Guerrero doing some Lucha Underground stuff where it's like, where did you find this guy? And he's like, I had to look everywhere for this one,
Always a good idea if it involves Chavo.
Yeah, like you do these things where like you don't show the head of Mordos. He's just kind of boxing or some shit, like he's just like, I got you out on parole, buddy. You got to work for AEW,
This is a wild super chat, like the hashtag everything. Well, anyway, Anjan $2, appreciate it. MJF's no longer got the golden arches, laughing emoji, hashtag Turkey.
Listen, if the science is there to be able to do these things, and you have the money to do it, then do what makes you happy. I wish John Moxley did. I've not gotten over him being bald. I can't accept it. It bothers me. I know he was already balding and trending in that direction, but that little tuft on the top of his head was comforting. I've wanted to say this now for a month. I haven't gotten a chance. That little tuft he had that he wouldn't cut. He hung on to it for about 5 years. He wouldn't shave it off. Now that when you're balding and you cut that tuft off, it's not coming back.
It's over. It's over for Paul Bucks.
Yeah, now
that's what you're saying.
It's all gonna grow back on the back now. It's not gonna. He had the 90. Now he looks like 95 ECW Steve Austin, and that's an uncomfortable look. It's a very uncomfortable look. So, John, go to Turkey. I won't make fun of you.
Match on 84-199. Parking lot fight is consistently the best stip in AEW. It was very good. We'll talk about that in a minute, actually. Match on 84-199 again. Ibu Joe, where is WrestlePurists Triple Mania review?
Oh, I actually did watch the last hour of Triple Mania, unfortunately. I'll say this. Nick Nemeth tried his best against a Del Rio who was in awful condition. About 2 stars there Nemeth won the Mega Campeonato, and there was a tag. There was a bunch of luchadors against Sam Adonis, Parker Boudreaux, Satnam Singh, and QT Marshall. That was unbelievable.
Just stop. Just stop.
Man.
My God.
Jeff Jarrett was throwing tortillas.
No, stop. Filth. Corey David $2. Ibu the same MJF took a trip to Turkey.
Yeah, he probably did, and he probably got his.
We've seen the evidence, It's like
he 100%.
I support him.
It'd be kind of weird if we didn't, really, wouldn't it? just mad about it. What the fuck?
Embrace the baldness, bro.
Right. Someone in the live chat said Corey Brennan said he'd be surprised if Gallus aren't called up. Fuck me. What the?
Wow.
I mean, if that's a report, that sounds like he's just tweeted that.
No, Monty, this is perfect. He wanted the Europeans on Raw, bro. This is perfect.
I can't imagine it's the monkey's paw. They're like, all right, Gallus.
Yeah.
Give him the rope.
Perfect.
Yo,
Give
Joe,
him the rope to hang himself
for
with.
the sake of comedy, because again, for those that don't know, Raw is the only show I get to watch live. I'm working during all of the wrestling, so I do want people I like to be on this show, right?
Yeah, Gallus.
And no Cody. Could you imagine, Joe, just as a rib on me, right? They move like everybody I like. Like Cody's already gone. They move like Gunther and shit, and they draft Gallus.
I think it's happening. I think we're in the middle of it.
I think Raw is going to have a very Ibu pilled roster.
You think so? They might fuck with me, bro.
I don't think they will.
Give me some luchadors.
It's the 3-hour show, so they're always going to have these. I think Raw is going to be the work heavy show. So like guys like Gunther. You
never know.
It would make sense.
Bruce may get in Hunter's ear and be like, "We need entertainers on this show, Hunter. We need some entertainers."
Bruce is fucking cooked, mate. Come on. Bruce might get to Hunt. No, he's not.
Bruce has got a lot. He's got a lot to say, man. I don't know.
Oh my Joe, you know what's
it's
funny?
Different now, you know.
Joe, you know what's funny? Last week, they've been like, I know you know about like how like lately they're doing those like long continuous shots on TV, and they've been showing more of Gorilla, but they never showed the desk that has Hunter and his crew. They never show that. It's like an unspoken rule in WWE. You don't show that part of Gorilla. Last week they finally did for like a split second. You saw Hunter just with glasses and a headset, and I paused the frame to see who was sitting next to him, and it was hysterical. It was William Regal and Road Dogg. I was like, who is
Regal's is God, man.
I was like analyzing. I'm like, who is this other fat white man with white hair? I was like, oh, that's Road Dogg.
God bless.
He's a tattoo on his head.
Yeah.
He's a interesting fella, isn't he? WrestleVotes literally 1 minute ago. Sources tell me that both Stephanie McMahon and NFL superstar Patrick Mahomes are backstage at Raw tonight. They're both scheduled to appear on the show.
What the? How did those two get linked like that in the story? It feels like two different tweets.
Tapping everyone up.
WrestleVotes hit up Michael Hayes like, "What you got for tonight?" He's like, "Stephanie McMahon and Pat Mahomes, brother."
Pat Mahomes.
Okay, cool, sweet.
All right, so that's the latest
Keep an eye out for Dallas.
What did I want to get to, man? Fuck.
Probably some of the wrestling.
I mean, there was a few shows this weekend. The unfortunate Triple A show that you just mentioned. We've spoke quite a bit about the draft already. We even spoke about Carmelo and Cody, so we've already touched on SmackDown, really. What else we got, man? And obviously the 3-hour block of AEW television. So I'm gonna have to refresh my memory a bit here. So let me pull up.
I got it off the top of my head, baby.
Go on. To what's your number one highlight from the 3-hour block of TV, bro?
The Beast Mortos.
Agreed. I actually think that was the best match, legitimately.
Yeah, it was just neat, you know. Like, Ray Phoenix came back. He got his hip fixed, and he's like somehow still like athletic and dynamic, and wasn't moving all choppy out there. He didn't have the type of, like, he had a. It's funny. He could have easily had like a 9-minute shootout with the former Black Taurus, but they had like a heat section in there, and like it went like 15 minutes or so. They had a more traditional style match, but a lot of fun. They did a lot of cool stuff. Daly's Place is always a treat to watch, and LEDs have hurt the aesthetic of Daly's, but Collision offsets it because like a lot of Collision's colors are black, so it was easy on the eyes of backup Hangman. It led to a good combination. So Collision was an easy watch. A lot of solid wrestling. Swerve defended the world title in the main event against Claudio Castagnoli in a match that went 22 minutes. A lot of back and forth action. Claudio's a freak of nature. He had a lot of hysterical warrior yells in the closing stretch where he'll just be like, "Ah!" and just fucking like hit, and I'm like, "Ah!" and just hit Swerve. But real nice match there, you know. And my God, Deonna Purrazzo turned heel, which is something that she needed to do. You know, it's the right move for Deonna. You know, they did another parking lot fight, so it was just a nice 3 hours of wrestling. To be honest with you. And I don't want to be that guy. You know, I'm not Vince Russo, I swear. It was almost like too much wrestling. Like, there was like very little by way of like angles and promos. And I'm not saying
it wasn't wrestling. Exactly. I was talking to Joe about it. So it was like the one before Dynasty. Sorry to cut you off, but these 3-hour blocks that they've had recently, Collision and Rampage. Like the last one was pre-Dynasty, literally the day before the show, and it's like, yeah, there's wrestling on them, and it's a nice watching the moment in that, but they just don't feel like productive. You know, they don't. the one before Dynasty, there was hardly any angles or anything like that really on it. You know, and then because they did all like the big go home angles on Wednesday, even though they had the live block before the pay-per-view. Like, I don't know. Then this weekend as well, it was a nice watch, you know, but you didn't feel super productive, really, you know.
You could skip it if you wanted to skip it, and that's kind of what I'm struggling with when it comes to these Saturdays. It's just this is a me thing for sure. But when it comes to the Saturdays, whether I watch it or not, especially now that they become 3-hour things, and I'm getting off work and I missed it live. Like if I was home, like I'm gonna have it on. Of course, it's good wrestling. But like, if I missed it and I had 3 hours of wrestling watch, if I'm being told that like no major advancements happened in anywhere on the show for the most part, right? Then like my incentive to watch is depending on how cool that week's card is, and I feel like Tony wouldn't he want his viewers to just watch every week by knowing like major things will happen to just progress his angles. So that's something to look at, I think. And so that's kind of what I meant by like it just kind of felt overwhelming. It's like a lot of wrestling that like ultimately is in a vacuum. But yeah, a lot of it was good. I mean, Jay White again, like he's good in trios action. They had a good match there. Tony Storm is in good form right now. Yeah, just
Collision and SmackDown are like two opposite extremes, and I would like something approaching a middle ground.
Let's see how this draft turns out on Raw.
What were your kind of takeaways, highlights from the Collision Rampage 3-hour draw?
I thought the Phoenix match was the best match on the show. Actually, I would say the parking lot business, but I put that's like a separate thing almost. That was a hoot on Rampage.
Yeah.
I thought Swerve and Claudio was good and had like chunks that were great. Like late, I thought it got great. I thought the first half of it suffered from how long they were going. In that the people know Claudio's going to win the belt, which is fine. You can't. Every defense can't be like, oh my god, they're going to change the belt. But I do think I don't think you'd lose anything if you shaved the first half of that match. Shaved it considerably, to be honest. So that's the thing I would say.
Yeah.
Great to see Roosh back. He's a great squash match wrestler. Like
Martin Stone.
He beat the hell out of poor Martin Stone.
Unrecognizable. The former Danny Burch who teamed with
Big Martin Stone.
I'll
follow him on Twitter, so I've seen that he's got like bigger and shit.
He looked in agony, to be honest with you.
He blocked me. Both him and Biff blocked me like 3 years ago.
Wow.
Because it was when does anybody remember the 3 week stable they had with Pete Dunne and Ridge Holland? So they made a group, and then they abruptly broke them up. And I just tweeted, and this wasn't against them. I was just like, oh shit, we know what that means. Meaning implying that they're probably gonna get fired. And they were like, go fuck yourself. And they blocked me, and then they got fired. And I was like, gosh. So
that was unnecessary.
It wasn't meant to be like at Martin Stone, haha. Like, you know. But, nevertheless, unrecognizable. But yeah, Roosh beat the shit out of him. I kind of wish they hyped up his return or Phoenix's return, but they ultimately did not. But Roosh is a game changer. Him and Phoenix, I think, are going to help the TV rotation a lot. Just from diversifying it and making it interesting. AO pitched the Beast of Mordos being a part of the new LFI. Wouldn't be against that at all. I think that'd be very cool. So I guess we'll see what happens to those guys. But I feel like Roosh is one of those guys you could throw it sort of on a TV, to be honest.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I also think it's worth noting that Garcia team with Shibata, right? And that I think is something like you could totally do a Young Bucks, match there.
Sorry.
No, you're right.
Messi's at the Heat Celtics game.
I think you could totally do Garcia and Shibata versus the Bucks as like a pretty big match, to be honest with you. So like, there's good stuff. I enjoyed the show. It was a little bit overwhelming. By the end of it, I was like, okay, that was enough professional wrestling. Like it was. Which, let me be clear, I preferred that feeling than SmackDown, which was, what did I watch tonight? I thought SmackDown on Friday was like a bad show. But I do think there's got to be room for just dressing these shows up a little bit with some angles and some promos and some personality. I mean, I don't want it to ever be less of a wrestling show, but to me, that's part of the recipe of a wrestling show, So
yes, that's the thing. It doesn't. People do this thing now where they feel like they have to dig their heels and then be militant about it and be like, well, we're the alternative. And here's the thing, sprinkling some of the other stuff in does not make it any less pro wrestling.
Yeah.
At all.
It's part of pro wrestling, right? It's part of pro wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I even think Collision on Saturday was unique because they had the lead in. But generally speaking, because Collision's audience kind of is what it is, I even think you can get creative with some pre-tape stuff, right? That's where I think you could do some Renee sit-downs. I know they did a Joe one recently. Profile pieces, that kind of stuff. I just think the stuff that spaced out the action, and also I haven't got an issue with a match going long. We've talked about this for Collision forever. Like the main event being 25-30 is not the issue as much as when it follows a show that has like 15, 12, 13. Like like, it can be a lot.
It takes the shine off it as well. Of
I think so. Yeah.
because when you have a match wow, the world championship's going to be on the line in the main event against a formidable opponent in Claudio Castagnoli. This ain't not no disrespect or anything like that. He's a good young wrestler and shit, but this ain't Cole Fletcher. This is Claudio Castagnoli. Do you know what I mean? You want that to kind of stand out very much so on your show, like that. You want that to almost be as close to a singular talking point coming out of it than anything, and it don't stand out when, as you said, you've got matches that are going 10, 12, 30 minutes all up the show. So
and to that point, Monty, sorry, but to that point, I also think that hurt the Grizzled Young Veterans.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought their match on Saturday was it felt so interchangeable, right? It felt like another match on the show. It was not. I think they're a good tag team. We talked about them recently on a show. Chuck and I were talking about you were there, Monty. It was a Sunday show.
They're good.
They're a good team, but I didn't think that jumped off the page at all, that match, and I actually wanted it to, because I think the Acclaimed, for all of the stuff about Max's raps and all these tweets, I think they're a good tag team. Unfortunately, at that point in the show, it's it didn't jump at the. I think they are a good team, legitimately. I think the evidence is there. I don't think they're a fun trio to watch with Billy Gunn, because Billy has one role to play.
Right.
I think they've had matches. I think the FTR match was really strong. I thought obviously the Keith and Swerve stuff was great. I didn't think it was a great match, because to me it was just it was exactly like the opener. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, G was a good one. It's just, again, the match just did not stand out at all, really. So yes, it is. But I guess to kind of touch on what you were talking about, just kind of going back to my original point, it's just I wish the shows were just more productive. Like I said, whether it's angles, pre-tapes with Renee, whatever the fuck it is you do, but when you look at AEW broadly, they have 3 hours. They have 2 hours Collision, 2 hours Dynamite, 1 hour Rampage. That's 5 hours of TV, and it feels like they only really focus on making 2 hours of it productive. So it's even with Collision having some of the big stars on it, and it's nowhere near became Rampage. No one's saying that, but there is still kind of quite the drop off from Dynamite in terms of how important the shows feel, and how what show has the big angles, what show has the, what show is going to have the world title contract signing. You already know. Do you know what I mean? It's one of the shows is just, like I said, they've got 5 hours of TV, and less than half of it feels like the focus on making actively productive.
It's very Collision feels very maintenance booking, right? It's
yes,
these are the guys we're pushing, let's get them wins. And let me be clear, folks, those of you who watch World War for a long time know, at times that's what I've enjoyed about it, because when Dynamite got crazy, there was something to be said for that. But it doesn't mean you're wrong. I think you're absolutely correct. It's there's a balance to strike there, especially on weeks where Dynamite feels dizzying and chaotic. It's I think we can spread this out a little bit and be better for it. But I don't know.
At least Deanna turned heel.
That was cool.
I'm trying to think of Ray and Rouge are back in the game, but obviously that could have been done in probably more productive ways. It's just
it should be noted, Saturday was probably one of the more eventful, collisions. I think in a way, it's just we're talking about it broadly, right? Because it was
I thought the pre-Dynasty one was that 3 hour block was an insane bit of business. It wasn't a bad TV show. I just thought, as a piece of business, the day before a pay-per-view, the lack of angles and hooks for the pay-per-view on that show was insane to me. Yeah. But it was a decent 3 hour block of TV. We ain't really got time to talk about it, but the Stardom show had some good matches on it. Mayu versus Sari was tremendous. Saori versus Hanan was very good as well. The main event was
Micah defender belt.
Yeah, no, the main event, Micah versus Momo was.
I can't get into Micah in this role with this championship, to be completely honest.
When she's going 40 minutes in the best 2 out of 3 falls or whatever the fuck it was to work, it was
tough. Yes.
It was a struggle. After about 10 minutes, and I don't mind Micah or anything. I think she's pretty good, but again, as Ibu said, getting behind her as world champion in 30-minute Stardom pay-per-view main events is there's levels, when you're going from a TAM as well. It's But I'm not the Joshi guy. That will be tomorrow on Dumb Guy Live, which will definitely be back tomorrow. And they're going
You
to
know what's
review.
happening tonight, guys? Gunther is wrestling Xavier Woods, and
Bro,
I'm
in the
sorry.
middle of plugging a WrestlePurists podcast, and you're cutting me off to do Raw announcements. Shut the fuck up, bro.
Calm down. My bad. I just
Dumb Guy Live tomorrow. Same time as always. They're going to do a Stardom review. They're going to talk New Japan, all things pure, all that stuff. Raw review tomorrow where Ibu can talk about his beloved Gunther Xavier Woods match. And we're going to get out of here. We're going to get out of here. So please like, subscribe, leave a comment. I don't know what Joe did on the Dynamite review to get everyone to comment, but that has like 20 comments to do that again. But yeah, everyone enjoy Raw. Like, subscribe on your way out. Appreciate all the super chats. Appreciate you guys for watching. And we are out of here.